All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down one of the most powerful tools out there for building wealth, the mutual fund. If you've ever asked yourself how you can make your money work harder for those really big goals, like retirement or maybe your kids' education, then you are in exactly the right place. Let's dive in. Any smart move with your money, it all starts with one really simple question. Before we even get into the what or the how of investing, we got to nail down your why. What's the dream? What are you actually working towards? So maybe you're in the same boat as the Guptas. They've got an 8-year-old daughter, Shalini, who has this amazing dream of becoming a space scientist. For them, the big goal is funding her higher education, which is, what, about a decade down the road? Or hey, maybe you can relate to Rabindra. He's a 45-year-old engineer and his company? No pension plan. So his number one goal is making sure he and his wife can have a really comfortable, secure retirement in about 15 years. And then you've got Surinder Singh. He just landed a promotion, moved to a new city, and honestly, he's just tired of renting. His dream is to buy his own place in the near future, to finally put down some roots. And last but not least, let's talk about Mrs. D'Souza. She's just retired, and she has her retirement benefits in hand. For her, it's not about growing her money like crazy. It's about making what she has work for her right now to create a steady income she can live on. Okay, so we have four completely different people, right? All with their own unique dreams. And here's the wild part. A single financial tool can actually be tweaked to help every single one of them. So, what is this thing? What exactly is a mutual fund? So, at its core, it's a really simple but, man, a powerful idea. It's basically a collective investment. A special company called an asset management company, you'll hear it called an AMC, pools money from thousands of investors, just like you, and then invests it for everybody.
Okay, the best way to think about this. It's like a huge potluck dinner. Instead of you having to cook this giant, expensive meal all by yourself, everyone just chips in a little bit of cash. Then a professional chef, that's the fund manager, takes all that pooled money, buys all the different ingredients, and cooks up this amazing, diversified banquet. You get to own a piece of that whole feast, and your piece is called a unit.
And what this does is it gives you, the investor, some serious power right out of the gate. All of a sudden, you've got a pro making the tough decisions for you. And you get instant diversification across tons of different investments. And you can start with a pretty small amount of money. And here's the really important part. The whole thing is regulated by SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India. That's a huge layer of protection for you. But, and this is super important, mutual fund isn't just one thing. It's a whole category of things, kind of like a toolbox with different tools for different jobs. So the real trick is matching the right tool to your specific dream.
Okay, it basically breaks down into three main buckets. First up, you've got equity funds. These guys invest in stocks and shares, and they're all about creating wealth over the long haul. But that comes with higher risk. Then you have debt funds. They invest in more stable things like bonds, and their goal is to provide regular income with lower risk. And right in the middle, you have hybrid funds, which, you guessed it, mix both stocks and bonds to give you a balance of growth and income. So let's circle back to our stories. For those long-term goals like Shalini's education or Rabindra's retirement, we're talking 10, 15 years out. Equity funds could be a really good fit. The key here is that they have time on their side to ride out the ups and downs of the market, all in the hope of getting higher growth. Now, on the flip side, what about Mrs. D'Souza, who needs that stable income right now? Or Surinder, who wants to buy his house pretty soon? For them, debt funds just make more sense. For them, the name of the game is protecting their money and getting predictable returns over a shorter time frame. Okay, so we've talked about the good stuff, the potential rewards. But we have to talk about the other side of that coin, risk. Every single investment has it, and understanding what you're up against is super, super important. One of the sneakiest risks out there isn't your investment going down. It's your money being quietly eaten alive by something called inflation. I mean, just look at these numbers. It's kind of shocking. If inflation is chugging along at 8%, that 10,000 rupees you have today, in 10 years, it'll only buy what about 4,600 rupees buys today. And in 30 years, it's worth less than 1,000. That right there is the silent thief we call inflation. Your money doesn't just need to grow. It has to outrun this thief just to hold its value. Okay, besides that, there are two other big risks you gotta know. First, there's market risk. That's pretty straightforward. It's the risk that the entire market just takes a nosedive and it pulls your investment down with it. Then there's credit risk, which is mostly for debt funds. That's the risk that the company or government whose bond you bought can't pay you back.
And this is why you see that warning plastered everywhere. Look, it's not just some legal fine print they have to put there. It's a mandatory heads up from the regulator, SEBI. And what it means is simple. Nothing is guaranteed. The value of your investment can go up, for sure, but it can also go down.
Whew, okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's just boil it all down, right? What's the big idea you need to walk away with?
It all comes down to a really simple, logical path. First, you'd start with your goal. That's your why. Why are you even doing this? Second, you get what the tool is. That's the what. And finally, you pick the specific type of fund that connects your goal to that tool, all while keeping the risks in mind. And that, my friends, is the how.
And there you have it. You've got the basic map now. You get the purpose, how it works, the different types, and the risks. So really, there's only one question left, and I can't answer it for you. What's going to be your first step?